So I want you to be now super uncomfortable and watch this video of an interaction between him and none other than Diddy.
The studio fell completely silent the moment Candace Owens stopped talking and stared at the screen. For several seconds, she didn't say a word. The clip in front of her showed a young Justin Bieber during the earliest days of his fame. Millions of people had seen similar footage before. Fans had watched it, reporters had discussed it. Social media users had turned moments from that era into memes and viral posts. But this time felt different. The conversations surrounding Justin Bieber had changed. Recent interviews, emotional reflections about fame, and years of public struggles had caused many people to revisit his journey from a completely different perspective. Take a listen.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher.
He signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
We're going crazy.
And according to viewers watching Candace Owens that day, she appeared genuinely stunned by what she was seeing. Nobody expected her reaction. Nobody expected the conversation to become so emotional. And what happened next quickly sent social media into a frenzy. Because the more people looked back at Justin Bieber's rise to fame, the more questions they seemed to have about what life was really like behind the scenes for one of the world's biggest stars.
So young Justin Bieber, who was signed by Usher, involved with Scooter Braun, now all of a sudden he's being put in the hands of Diddy, who, it is true, he became the legal guardian for Usher. You can look up all of the allegations of what Diddy did to Usher. A lot of this coming out via multiple lawsuits that essentially, if we were to put it in a nice context, or at least use a euphemism for something that's really disgusting, the allegations are essentially that Diddy very much initiated Usher into Hollywood.
Diddy bought his son a Bentley. Maybe, he could buy you one also while you're out.
He got me a Lamborghini.
That's nice.
I haven't gotten it yet, though.
Yeah, I know. When is that coming, that Lamborghini? We talked about this last time.
He had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house, and he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
He did an interview back in 2020 with Zane Lowe. I think this was on Apple Music. And he was speaking about another young artist that was coming up, Billie Eilish, and Eilish. And he was basically speaking about how he wanted to protect her because she was now another young person, a rising artist in the industry. And sort of out of nowhere, he became quite overcome with emotion. Take a listen.
Did you feel protective of her?
Yeah, I definitely feel protective of her. It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second. So yeah, it's hard because I want her to know that, she can count on me. But at the end of the day, I'm never going to force myself to be in a relationship with her. It has to be natural, right? So I just kind of, let her do her thing. And if she ever needs me, I'm going to be here for her. But yeah, just protecting those moments because people take for granted encounters and yeah. So yeah. I just want to protect her, I don't want her to lose it. I don't want her to, go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody. So, yeah, if she ever needs me, I'm just a call away.
I'm not even kidding. Watching that clip makes me emotional because he is saying so much without really saying anything. And in this one video, it looks like whatever Justin is doing, and I'm not going to show it out of just respect for the fact that I truly believe that Justin Bieber is a victim. But whatever he is doing in this video with Trey Songz and Odell Beckham Jr. looks highly suspicious. I can show you a still from that video because I think the relevant part is Justin Bieber is not sober. He is clearly very heavily under the influence at this party. And if you remember that lawsuit that the producer Rodney dropped against Diddy, he said that unbeknownst to all of these people, they were being drugged at Diddy's parties, that they were pouring out the liquor bottles and replacing it with other drugs. He kept
to my limits. Oh, I gotta feel that experience. I'm coming back. It's all good. Happy New Year! Woo!
Unearthing videos of Justin Bieber at Diddy parties. Now, Justin Bieber was obviously extremely young when he entered the industry, extremely innocent when he entered the industry, an industry that he did not quite understand as a boy who just knew how to sing and play the guitar and just did both of those things on YouTube. Then he was scooped up and suddenly he was a part of people like Diddy going after him and saying, hey man, why don't you pick up my phone calls? There's actually a video of that. Diddy and Justin Bieber looks to be like 15 years old and said, why aren't you picking up my phone calls? And he's like, oh, I know you were trying to contact me through people and I don't have your number. And the next thing we know, Justin is at Diddy's parties.
What's up, man? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh?
No,
you ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you tried to get in contact with me, through all my, business, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really got my number, so.
Right. Okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
I did not realize that you can quite literally draw a direct line from Prince to Michael Jackson to Ye, and then now to Justin Bieber and the things that they have been saying.
I just want to, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair. Of course, they wouldn't change because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist.
There's a disintegration going on that we really have to address. Our values have been lessened to a great degree. People can say all they want to, that there's no reason for these kids to listen to music and then go shoot somebody. But, there's something that's triggering these buttons.
Record companies really, really do conspire against their artists. They steal, they cheat, they do whatever they can.
We can't just say, oh, it's okay for people to super complicate deals and to collude on deals and to not look at us as human beings, as artists and athletes and actors, that we have to be willing to stand up for that to be able to change something.
If they cannot control you, they will ruin you. So I started thinking over this weekend, what if we just stopped for 1 second accusing all of these artists of being crazy, and instead we started actually investigating some of the things that they've been saying?
Months ago, I was really struggling mentally and emotionally, and just there were so many things that were adding up, and I wasn't able to enjoy any of the things that I owned.
That stuff's not gonna matter to you.
None of the actual things did anything because I was so hurt and I was so confused and I was so sick and there was all these things and I was like, I can't, there's you just can't, like you said, you can't enjoy the actual physical, tangible, things that money offers, right? It really had to come from within. So that's I guess our perspective.
For years, people thought they knew Justin Bieber's story. A talented kid from Canada uploads videos online. A record executive discovers him. The internet falls in love. The music explodes. The fame becomes global. It sounds like a dream, and in many ways it was. But what often gets lost in that success story is how incredibly young Justin was when his entire life changed forever. Long before the sold-out stadiums, luxury homes, and worldwide fame, Justin was simply a teenager with a guitar and a dream. He wasn't prepared for what was coming, almost nobody could have been. One minute he was posting videos online, the next he was one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. Suddenly there were cameras everywhere, crowds everywhere, expectations everywhere. Every decision became a headline, every mistake became news, every awkward teenage moment became entertainment for millions of strangers. And while fans were celebrating his success, very few people stopped to think about the pressure that came with it. Imagine growing up while the entire world watches. Imagine making normal teenage mistakes while photographers follow your every move. Imagine trying to figure out who you are while millions of people constantly tell you who they think you should be. That was Justin Bieber's reality. At first, everything seemed perfect. The music was breaking records, the concerts were selling out, fans couldn't get enough.
But as the years passed, cracks started to appear. There were emotional moments, controversial headlines, public criticism, periods where Justin appeared overwhelmed by the pressure surrounding him. The media often focused on the drama, the internet focused on the mistakes. But what nobody expected was that years later, many people would begin looking back at those moments differently, including Candace Owens. During one discussion, Owens reflected on Bieber's journey and the emotional comments he has made over the years about fame, pressure, and the challenges he faced growing up in the entertainment industry. What seemed to affect her most wasn't a single interview, it wasn't one specific headline, it was the overall picture, the realization that a teenager had been placed under extraordinary pressure while trying to navigate one of the toughest industries in the world. And according to many viewers, that realization hit her hard. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. As fans revisited old interviews and public appearances, they began noticing details they had never paid attention to before. Small moments, brief reactions, comments that once seemed insignificant. At the time, nobody thought much about them. Years later, people began interpreting them through an entirely different lens. Social media quickly filled with discussions. Some people argued that Bieber had been trying to explain the emotional cost of fame for years. Others believed people were reading too much into old footage. The debates became endless. But one thing was undeniable: the conversation had changed. Instead of discussing chart rankings and celebrity gossip, people were asking deeper questions. What does extreme fame do to a child? How much pressure can a young person handle? What happens when your entire adolescence unfolds in front of cameras? Those questions became impossible to ignore. And then Justin himself began speaking more openly. Over the years, he has discussed mental health struggles, feelings of pressure, emotional challenges, and the difficulties that came with becoming famous at such a young age. His comments resonated with millions, not because they were shocking, but because they felt honest. For perhaps the first time, people weren't looking at Justin Bieber as a global superstar. They were looking at him as a human being, someone who had experienced extraordinary success, but also extraordinary pressure. What nobody expected was how emotional the public reaction would become. Fans who grew up listening to his music suddenly found themselves reflecting on their own memories. Many admitted they had judged him too harshly during difficult periods of his life. Others said they never realized how much pressure he was carrying. The internet was filled with comments from people saying the same thing. "We thought we understood his story. We didn't." And that's when Candace Owens made an observation that sparked even more discussion. She suggested that people often focus on celebrity success while ignoring the emotional cost that comes with it: the fame, the money, the attention.
Those are the things everyone sees. The anxiety, the loneliness, the pressure. Those are often hidden. For many viewers, that message hit home, because Justin Bieber isn't the first young star to struggle under the weight of fame, and unfortunately, he probably won't be the last. The entertainment industry can create incredible opportunities, but it can also create enormous challenges, especially for young performers still trying to discover who they are. As the discussion continued, more former child stars began sharing their own experiences. Many described similar pressures: the feeling of constantly being watched, the fear of disappointing fans, the challenge of separating personal identity from public image. Suddenly, Justin Bieber's story became part of a much larger conversation, a conversation about childhood fame, about expectations, about the price of success, and perhaps most importantly, about the importance of protecting young people who enter the spotlight. What nobody expected was how much sympathy Justin would receive. For years, some people saw him as a celebrity who had everything. Now, many were beginning to see a different picture: a teenager who grew up under unimaginable pressure, a young man trying to navigate challenges in front of the entire world, a person who, despite fame and fortune, still faced struggles that money couldn't solve. That realization changed everything. The emotional weight of the story wasn't really about celebrity gossip anymore. It was about something deeper. It was about how easily people forget that famous individuals are still human beings. They still experience pain, confusion, fear, regret, and sometimes they carry burdens nobody else can see. As the conversation surrounding Bieber continued to grow, many fans began revisiting old interviews with fresh eyes. Moments that once seemed ordinary suddenly felt more meaningful, not because new secrets had been revealed, but because people were finally paying attention to the emotional reality behind the headlines. And perhaps that's what stunned Candace Owens the most: the idea that so much of Justin Bieber's story had been visible all along, not hidden, not secret, simply overlooked. By the end of the discussion, the atmosphere felt completely different from where it started. The focus wasn't controversy, it wasn't celebrity drama, it wasn't even politics, it was empathy.
For a moment, people stopped arguing and started reflecting. What must it feel like to lose your childhood to fame? What must it feel like to grow up under constant scrutiny? What must it feel like when millions of strangers think they know your life? Those questions lingered long after the conversation ended, and maybe that's why this story continues to resonate with so many people. Because beneath the headlines, the rumors, and the endless online debates is something surprisingly simple: a reminder that fame doesn't protect people from pain, success doesn't eliminate struggles, and sometimes the people who seem to have everything are fighting battles nobody else can see. As the discussion came to a close, viewers were left with one final thought. Maybe Justin Bieber's story was never just about music. Maybe it was about survival, surviving pressure, surviving expectations, surviving a life lived in front of the entire world. And perhaps that's what so many people are finally beginning to understand. The real story isn't what happened on stage, it's what happened behind the spotlight. If there's one lesson people seem to be taking away from all of this, it's that fame has a hidden cost, and sometimes that cost becomes visible only years later. What do you think? Do you believe the public has started viewing Justin Bieber's journey differently over the last few years? And do you think young stars receive enough protection when they enter the entertainment industry? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next story.